looking for opportunities to better themselves. And I just am so proud of them and excited to see where they're going to go next. And like, that's what makes me happy. And that's what I love about this job.
You really light up when you talk about the kids.
They're my fave.
So it sounds like there is a lot of meaning in this job for you, even though necessarily it's not as busy as you would like, or that you used to be.
Yeah, for sure. Like a few years ago when we first got we had a huge influx of Syrian refugees, we were crazy busy and it was so stressful. Like we all had to do I was like the transportation person for like navigating like 18 huge families all over town. And there was like a medical person and there was an education person. We all got out of our roles and did something different so that we could all work together to effectively help these families navigate Moose Jaw. And it was such a stressful, crazy time. But like I look back at it and I'm just like, that was one of the like most exhilarating times. We really felt like I really felt like, wow, we're doing so much and we're managing. And it was just a really intense time for us. And now that all of those families have been settled for a few years, it just feels like I need to like justify my position.
Mm-hmm. So you've mentioned, it's interesting, you've mentioned word like stress and exhilaration, and then and like that's when you feel the busiest. Do you think we could try to identify why you connect those kind of thoughts with being productive?
Yeah, I guess when I was talking about that, I even remembered when I was in university, during my undergrad, there was a 1 week in there or 2 weeks where I procrastinated so terribly to term papers, or 3 term papers to the last 2 weeks, and they were 15, 17, and 10 pages long or something like that. And like it was like the craziest, most exhilarating time in my life. I remember that week and being able to do it and doing it and getting like great, decent marks. They weren't like 90s or anything, but I managed to do it. And like I guess I thought that was like my greatest 2 weeks. And I guess that I've always been told and taught growing up that like the most rewarding things are always like the most challenging, you know? So I think that comes a lot from my parents and my actually it's interesting that you asked that question, because I think about my First Nations heritage too. And one of the things that we have is that like we must kind of suffer in order to like get all of these rewarding and all these blessings and everything. And I guess that speaks volumes to like my need to like torture myself with ridiculous, stressful situations.
So for your culture, it's suffering for blessings. From your parents, it's almost challenging, rewarding. Is that a thought pattern you'd like to change?
Yeah, I'd like to be comfortable with like with relaxing. I'd like to be comfortable in a job that isn't so demanding, and by really taking the time to enjoy my downtime and not being like I need to go do something and be on top of it all, or like it's just a thought pattern that is really taxing emotionally, mentally, physically.
What kind of things do you enjoy doing in your downtime?
I like golfing and yoga. Like those are 2 of my big things. I got an unlimited membership with yoga this last month, and I committed to 4 months of it, so I'm doing it. And then I love golf, and I was only able to get out once this year so far, but I would love to get out some more.
Okay. Do you think that maybe a part of it is that um, you think that when you're doing things in your downtime, you're not actually doing anything, that it might have to be attached to some sort of work or school?
Yeah. Um, there are times where, yeah, like just like that, I'm not used to not feeling like the pressure from somewhere.
Mhm.
So when there isn't any pressure from anywhere, I start to get like a little bit like, oh, I'm missing out. I'm missing something. Something's wrong. And then that's when things like get even more stressful, and like I find things to like stress out about. Like I don't even know, like other like relationship issues, or yeah, like I'll find anything to stress about someone. So
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
What in this job where you have a little bit more time because you are obviously very good at it and very good with the kids and you know the job really well. Tell me what you love about this life with a little bit less pressure.
Um, I guess with less pressure, it would be um, I could wake up on the weekends and make some coffee and just relax and chill, and like I don't want to like relax with my cell phone anymore either, because I feel like that just makes hours disappear, and that that stresses me out, because then I'm like I just spent like 3 hours on my phone looking at memes, and it's not the kind of like stress reliever that I think is effective.
Mm-hmm. Um, on a scale of 1 to 10, so I guess 1 would be never really looking at your phone when you didn't need to, and 10 is looking at your phone all the time, like just all the time that you don't have something to do. Where do you think you land on that scale?
Oh, I'm like on my phone probably. Sorry, what was the 10?
Well, we could go the other way because that doesn't like, so let's go, so 10 would be good. So 1 is that you're always on your phone when you're not busy, and 10 is that you're not really on your phone and you're doing things that you find productive when you don't have.
Currently, it's a 2. It's like pretty constant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like to me, what I love hearing about your job because although it's not as stressful as you have been in the past and that makes you feel productive, it really sounds like you love the kids and that you love seeing them progress, and it brings you purpose and meaning. Does that sit with you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about when you're in these moments of feeling like, oh, I'm not being challenged enough, or I should be doing something more? Maybe writing down 1 or 2 things that you're grateful for about your current job or the current students. Do you practice gratitude at all? Do you like writing in a journal?
I do enjoy writing in a journal. I've always liked our like journaling assignments in school. Uh, but you're right, like it definitely comes down to like a gratitude thing, because like I really like I love this job and I love the people that I work with, and it's not that I like want to leave them. Like I even talking about wanting to leave them really like makes me kind of weepy. Like I don't want to leave them, but I also want to feel as though that there's that I'm not just sitting in my office like waiting for people to come and need me.
Mhm.
um, and because they are becoming so much more self-sufficient, like I am working myself out of a job. That's like the purpose, and I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, it's getting to that point where it's like, okay, then like maybe the job is winding down, you know.
Mhm.
um I don't want to I never want to disable my children, like my kids. I never want to make them dependent on me. I never want to go seek them out when they don't need me. If they're capable of doing things on their own, I want them to be able to do that. So like that's my ultimate goal, is to help them become these like incredibly capable people, using their own skills and using their English and all of that. So I guess that I'm just really good at my job because they don't need me as much as they used to, and I'm okay with that. But I'm also yeah, just feeling a little bit unsatisfied.
Yeah, it sounds so like coming back to the like things feeling meaningful, and then with your culture, like you have to suffer to have blessings. You've given these kids an extreme amount of blessings, and in return, like even when you talk about it, it feels like it's so meaningful to you.
It is. It really is.
Okay, so let's talk about this unsatisfied piece a little bit. So if the job is winding down and there's nothing you can really do about it right now, what do you think you could do outside the job to feel a little bit more satisfied? And we can come back to the phone too at some point.
To feel a bit more satisfied, I think that yeah, just like I think putting more effort into school right now would probably be somewhere where I could pick up the slack, whereas like my job gives me a little bit more like um downtime, or like it's not as stressful as it used to be. So like using some of that time, or like some of that like emotional and mental break to be able to push that into my schoolwork might actually be a little bit, make me feel a lot more productive, and maybe not stress myself out, but like also give me some purpose, some of those like feelings of like you need to work hard in order to get what you want. Like for the longest time, it was always my work that did that for me, and I guess that I think I've been so exhausted from school, I'm just like, I don't want to think about it. So when I check out, I check out. Whereas like I could probably put some of that energy, that mental and emotional energy, back into my school.
Would you like to take some of that emotional, mental energy, kind of put it into your phone and maybe transfer that time and energy into school?
Yeah, yeah, that would actually be a lot better. Because it does just eat time and makes me stressed out in a not good way. Like the other kind of stress where it's like it feels like I'm living to the fullest, and then there's that kind of stress where it's like, oh my god, you're like destroying your future.
Okay, so I would like to kind of start with a little specific goal for you, just something to try out.
Sure.
How often would you say that you're on your phone a day right now?
Probably like 6 hours a day.
Okay. Is there a time of day when you're on your phone the most, or when you really feel like it becomes a little bit of a longer session?
Um, Maybe like immediately after work and between when I go to find like a spot to do my homework.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that time immediately after work. What does it look like?
I usually go home and like lay down, and then I'm just like scrolling, and because like I know that I just need like to decompress, but then it's like not really a decompression. It's just me on my phone, and then it'll eat up like an hour or two, and it's not really me sleeping either. Like I could use a nap at that time, and that would probably be more beneficial than me being on my phone.
Um, do you think that would be a time? So in this time, and then do you start school right after that? After that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that would be a good time to insert the yoga?
Yeah. A good time to like decompress, and I love yoga. It just feels really good too. It's so mind opening and everything. Like I just love it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about starting? What would be comfortable for you? You do have the unlimited pass, which is amazing. Do you think something like 3 days a week or 3 days a week, just knowing that when you get off from work, instead of going on your phone, you go right to yoga? 2 days a week? Would you just want to start at one?
Probably like 2 days a week would be like ideal for sure.
Okay. And that might help with that sense of having a purpose, right? Because
Mhm.
it sounds to me like yoga does give you a purpose. It's mindfulness. It's attached to the work that you do.
Mhm.
Does that fit with you?
Yeah, it does. It really does.